Stay tuned for this episode of The Intersection. Our guest will be Ego Plum.
Hey, this is Ego Plum. Stay tuned.
Hey, welcome to The Intersection, where life and art collide. I'm your host, the punk rock pop-pop, Leigh Pierce. And today I'm super excited to have this guest. Luckily, we have a mutual friend, or I never thought I would be able to get talk to this gentleman. Ego Plum. I couldn't do you justice trying to do an introduction, so could you please take a minute and tell us who you are?
Hey, okay, so I am Ego Plum, and I'm a composer. I write music mostly for children's entertainment, cartoons, animation. That seems to be the world that I've landed in, and it's been pretty good to me. I am very proud to say that I can make a living making weird children's music every day, and it's pretty exciting. I right now mostly work for Nickelodeon on the Patrick Star Show and some SpongeBob. That's always a lot of fun. That's an amazing world to be in. I think SpongeBob is the ultimate in surrealism. I think if Salvador Dali was alive, he would think that SpongeBob is surrealist art, and I think it's great. So I'm lucky to be there. I also have worked on other shows, the Cuphead show on Netflix, the big Hanna-Barbera reboot at Warner Brothers called Jellystone. That was a lot of fun. Rewriting themes for like Yogi Bear and Huckleberry Hound and all these great characters. Finished a feature for Warner Brothers recently called Aztec Batman. I'm just sort of going through the resume, but basically, yeah, I'm a composer, artist, performer, dabble in a bunch of things, all sort of related to weird music somehow.
And you've got just not outside of that, though. I mean, you've done orchestra, you've composed for TV and film, but you've worked with some, just important punk bands and metal bands and stuff like that. What's your favorite outlet? If you had to pick one, what would be your favorite medium to work in?
Oh, man, I really love performing live. The thing is, it's so hard to make a living doing that. It's a lot of work, but that really is the most gratifying as far as that immediate response from an audience. It feels great. When you work on a cartoon, it'll be 6 months sometimes before you see anything on TV or online, and even then, you don't get that sort of reaction. It just sort of comes and goes. I love performing, but as far as making a living, television is great. I have a short attention span, so everything I work on usually lasts 11 minutes. I'm able to write in a bunch of different styles over the course of those 11 minutes, different genres that just sort of jump from one to another. It really works great. So I love that world of television animation for sure.
And there's something fun about having an assigned project, like you could, especially if you love creating and you like the medium and the genre and you like working in the children's animation stuff. Your brain's already thinking that. So sometimes it's a lot of fun when they give you a project because there's limitations. It needs to fit inside this box, and so it's really fun because it kind of challenges you, but you almost kind of get to turn your brain off too because it just becomes a thing you get to do.
You're totally right. I think I work best within parameters. I like setting rules for the work I do, and deadlines are really important. I've slacked off on doing my own projects and putting out my own records for years, but every week I'm turning around dozens and dozens of cues for cartoons, and that's easy. People often ask me like, how do you find inspiration? And what I say is that deadline is the inspiration. Honestly, like if I know everything's due on Friday, and there's a whole team of people waiting for my work, I'm going to be able to summon the notes no matter what. As soon as my hands go down on the keyboard, I'm writing. I'm not waiting for something from above to tell me what to do. It's just it's going to happen no matter what.
It's always hard to find time for our own stuff. It never fails. I was talking to someone about this the other day. Especially like you'll have the entire project is in your head, but you haven't even had a chance to even make a voice recording to say what it is because you have all these other projects, especially if you're a creative that has your own art, but then you also have your art that is your day job.
Right.
Like, now I don't even call it day job, but what you're actually able to have a career, make a living at doing as well. So you've
Right.
got two different creative outlets because it's sometimes that's enough. It's what, like, yeah, we want to be doing our own stuff. You want to be doing your orchestra and stuff like that. But it's like sometimes it fills you. And so like I can't imagine getting to work in children's television, children's animation. I love it. I mean, you see my hat. We're a SpongeBob family.
Yeah.
Both my boys watched it. My grandson is a huge fan now. I've got Doodle Bob tattoos. It's always been a part of our family. All the spin-offs, Camp Coral, the Patrick Star Show, all of it, all the spin-off movies.
Yeah.
It's all one thing, and we've all enjoyed it so much. So I can't imagine the how is it as fun as I can imagine getting to be a part of something like that.
It really is, and especially on the SpongeBob team, these are all guys that have been doing this a really long time. Relative to them, I'm kind of new in the team. I've been, I don't know, 6, 7 years working on the SpongeBob universe. But these guys, they're just wonderful, and they're all kind of like children in a lot of ways. Very positive. If you're going to be stuck with a certain group of people for years, you better hope that they're fun to be around. So yeah, I'm lucky. And you were mentioning punk rock guys and all that. For me, yeah, I have involved a few of my heroes in these shows because I think it's important to sort of kind of sneak that stuff in for young minds. When I was a kid, when I was a teen, I was watching like Pee-wee's Playhouse and the Rugrats without realizing, like, oh, this is the guy from Devo doing this music. But I really love the music. Eventually, I figured out, oh, Mark Mothersbaugh, Devo, this band, or the Residents were doing music for Pee-wee's Playhouse. And of course, it's just like eventually you get a little older, you do a little more research, and you figure out like, wow, this is Danny Elfman doing these movies as well. Pee-wee's Playhouse, Pee-wee's Big Adventure. It's sort of like I feel like it's my duty, if I could sneak in, Leonard Grace Phillips from the Dickies, or some guys from Black Flag into a SpongeBob or a Patrick show, then I've done my duty. I've made it so that if a kid likes this, maybe he'll research this and figure out what it is.
Well, yeah, because you've worked with, I mean, Devo, Black Flag, Dickies, Oingo Boingo, which is Danny Elfman's
Yeah.
'80s band. Like, how did you get to work with all of that? Or is it just, I mean, like, I understand because I know, like, I never realized all the weird things I liked growing up. It was actually a community that I didn't know until I found out from our mutual friend Carrot from Radioactive Chicken Heads. I never
Right.
realized all these little aspects of the weird art that I grew up loving was one community, whether it was Pee-wee's Playhouse, Yo Gabba Gabba, SpongeBob universe. All these are kind of interconnected through a lot of different, really amazing, creative people.
Yeah.
And I love being able to know some of you guys. It's just been so much fun. This last 6 months has been a whirlwind.
Yeah. Awesome. Uh, what was the question? We were saying how or why did I?
Yeah, how did you first get involved with all the old punk bands and stuff
Well,
like that?
I love that shit so much. I mean, this is the music I grew up with. This is the stuff that means the most to me in the world is these bands, these artists. And sort of naturally, I met someone like, let's say, David J. from Bauhaus 20 years ago. And in our relationship, I've invited him to be a part of different things. I think in the theme song for a show called Harvey Beaks, that was an old Nickelodeon show, it doesn't run anymore. But the theme song itself has David J. from Bauhaus, Steve Bartek from Oingo Boingo, and Bob Mothersbaugh from Devo, all in one 30-second song, and that's sort of like mission accomplished for me. If I could bring all my heroes and put them all in the same place doing, a fun, weird little song, it's like I could die happy, honestly. So it's a mission. It's something that I think is important. I think these artists changed my life, and I think their work is vital and important, and they should go on and on in any form through the records and through these little things that I get to do. I feel like it's my way of giving back to them and to young audiences. I think everyone should be exposed to all of these bands.
Well, and I love it because I mean I've always been one. Well, I've always been just a big kid. I still would rather watch cartoons or bad horror movies than anything that's winning Oscars or a big budget blockbuster.
Yeah,
I like my art weird. I like it accessible. I want it to feel like me and my buddies could have made it, or we were at least going to go watch it. That's for or listen to it. That's for damn sure. So I've always loved the more fun childlike stuff, whether it's music or TV or cartoons and the animation. So it's always fun, especially now as a parent of grown ass men. They're not they're 19 and 26.
yeah,
So it's like 27. Jesus Christ, just had a birthday.
yeah.
And I got an 8-year-old grandson, and getting to sit there and watch this stuff, and I'll be like, oh my God, I'll pause something, and like it's so annoying because I'll be like, no, this is what this is referencing. You have no idea. We were just sitting and watching the new SpongeBob movie, and all of a sudden, I was that Leonardo DiCaprio meme. I'm like, oh, oh, oh! I hear freaking Holiday in Cambodia.
Right.
And I'm like, are you shitting me? I'm like, which makes sense. I mean, East Bay Ray is just a surf guitarist. So, of course, it fits perfectly in Bikini Bottom. But I was not expecting to hear an instrumental Holiday in Cambodia in the new SpongeBob movie. And I just love seeing. Because it was just a good song, it fit the scene, and anyone that knew the song, it was for us. But it still fit the theme, and it was nice seeing people give props to the stuff. It's like, this is why I like this movie. It was made for me too.
Yeah, the guys running these shows, they have really good taste. Steven Hillenberg had the good sense to bring Ween and the Cramps into SpongeBob early on. So there's a history of involving like interesting artists and musicians in that show. I remember, I saw the movie as well, and I just couldn't believe I was hearing Dead Kennedys as well. It's just fantastic. I love that they do that stuff, and I get to be a part of that and keep that tradition alive.
That's really cool. So you're talking about, I want to step back. You're talking about your favorite is doing live music. Tell me about the Ebola Music Orchestra.
Well, the Music Orchestra was one of my first projects when I was a young guy in my 20s. Um, it was a big ensemble. I was very much inspired by Danny Elfman, Oingo Boingo, and circus and carnival music. And I was just getting into scoring. I wasn't really, I didn't have any projects yet, but I was essentially writing music for non-existent cartoons and non-existent films. So I ran all these instrumentals, and I put together a band that could play this stuff. It was mostly instrumental stuff. Basically sounded like carnival music with a dozen players. A project like that is a lot of work. It's just being able to schedule rehearsals for a dozen guys and horn players. And as you can imagine, just like rock and roll guys are notorious for who knows when they're going to show up or what's going to happen. It's always a challenge. It was always a challenge, but it was really rewarding. Unfortunately, it's not a thing that I was able to sustain for a long time, just because the very nature of it, you lose money every show. I've talked with some of the guys about trying to do something again, 20 years later. It'd be a lot of fun, and we're considering it, maybe just doing another Ebola Music Orchestra show. But man, yeah, that was a blast. But that's sort of how I started. That was, I remember at my record release party, was that like 18, 20 years ago, Amy Winfrey was there, who was the creator of a show called Making Fiends at Nickelodeon. And short-lived, really weird show, but she saw me perform, and she hired me to score her show, which became my first series that I worked on in 2008, 17 years ago. That's how I got my foot in the door at Nickelodeon. Now, even though once I had my foot in there, it didn't mean that I was automatically working again. I mean, it took years before I got my next series, Harvey Beaks, and that was 2015. So, it's a slow path, but I credit everything to being in that band. Like that, learn a lot of what I do, like how to work with people, how to work with musicians and write for horns, stuff that I had never done before. All these sort of skills definitely applied to me eventually working, let's say, with an orchestra on Harvey Beaks. But yeah, that was an amazing time. I really enjoyed it. It's just, I look back and I think, I worked a regular job for over a decade. All my 20s into my 30s, I was in a cubicle at UCLA. And, I think I would have still kept making music in the evenings and being in bands and doing things and putting out records or CDs or whatever it may be, because I loved making music all the time, no matter what. So I imagine there's an alternate universe where I'd still be in a cubicle, but in the evening still making music and putting out stuff and maybe scoring stuff for independent films on the side. I've just been very lucky that now it's turned into what I do for a living, and it's great.
How, because like some of your orchestral stuff and the more metal stuff is all kind of on the darker side,
Yeah,
and seeing kind of the different sides of the creativity, because I mean Nickelodeon in one word is whimsy.
yeah.
So, how do you get yourself into the right mindset when you're doing something for the SpongeBob universe? I mean, it's bubbles and whimsy. So, how do you go from when you're working on like a darker project to something like that? Do you have a process, or is it just kind of easy to move back and forth between the two?
You really have to like compartmentalize a lot of what you do, and sort of like you almost have to have split personalities, because even in real life you're dealing with like difficult things. Let's say you could just got out of visiting your dad at the hospital, and then you got to come home and write like silly, funny music. That's stuff like that has happened to me. It's like it's you just have to do it. I really can't explain how, but when I sit down at the desk and I'm working on a show, I sort of tunnel vision the project and everything else disappears. And I have to do it even if I'm working, let's say, on two shows at once that are completely different styles. I would be, let's say, working on the Aztec Batman movie, which was a sort of a dark, brooding, like a gothic sound, but with a lot of dissonance and scary moments. And then a few hours later, I'd be working on Patrick Star. It was completely silly, and somehow I just have to be able to just turn it off, turn it on. I can't explain it honestly, but it's a necessary tool. Like if you're gonna do the stuff that I'm doing, you just have to. You just have to somehow eat.
And I think that's a big thing with I think it's part of it's probably the compartmentalizing is Gen X trauma response. Being being raised by boomers, honest to God, like I love my parents to death. They did their best with me. I was a weird fucking kid, man. But I mean, I think being raised the way we were in the time we were, I think if we didn't compartmentalize, I don't know anyone that's still around that wasn't able to compartmentalize. So I think that does help us be able to flip that switch when we need to. But
Yeah,
I mean, I
yeah,
I would love to be able to have a day where my homework was, or my work was, to sit down and do what you do with the SpongeBob world. Is just what you do is incredible, and I see why you're just burrowed in like a tick, because you should be. I mean, your name should be synonymous with the show and the Bikini Bottom universe, because it's really fitting. And the more I've learned about you, and like
yeah,
I said, this whole fun, weird world of art that I've from the radioactive chicken heads to Pee Wee and everything else. It's really fun to see all of it coming together and how it actually really complements each other.
right,
And
right.
I never realized it until recently, and it's really cool. I've earned a new appreciation for all of you, and especially you. I knew of you, but I'd never thought I'd be able to like reach out and talk to you. So this has been incredible. Our mutual friend Carrot from Radioactive Chicken Heads, I
Of
gotta
course,
thank him
love the
again.
carrot.
That
Yeah.
guy knows everybody. He
Oh
knows
yeah.
freaking everybody.
He really does. He really does. Let me just say, I really appreciate the compliments about the SpongeBob. But let's not forget, I mean, this show has been around 25 years now, and they've amassed an amazing body of music. And that's because of guys like Nick Carr and Sage and Jeremy Wakefield. These guys sort of laid this whole foundation, and I'm sort of coming in a little later, but I'm very happy to sort of help take the mantle and keep that tradition alive, and then contribute something new, try to do something a little different as well. But yeah, I mean the team is amazing, and the carrot is amazing too. By the way, I've always loved that guy. A lot of fun seeing that band play. You get to see him much? You ever get to see him?
I've never met him in person. I'm out in southern Wisconsin. So
Oh, okay.
I met Carrot through Techno Destructo from Guar. He
Nice.
put me in touch with Carrot, and I had him on my show, the old show I used to do, and then he
Yeah.
ended up becoming one of my clients, one of my marketing clients, and now we have a limit. We are only allowed to talk on the phone for 30 minutes because otherwise we feed off each other's energy. We end up pacing back and forth while we're talking, and it's 2 hours later we're like finally like, okay,
Right.
yep, okay, yep, bye. And then we come barreling out, and our poor wives have to listen to us retell every little thing that we're excited about, flailing around like a cracked out 7-year-old.
That's
So we
amazing.
now have to put a limit on our phone calls because we get way too excited and feed off each other's energy, and I just love it. He's so
Yeah.
fun to talk to.
Yeah. I just ran into him a few days ago at Mark Mothersbaugh's art gallery in Chinatown here in LA. He was hanging around, and it's always great to run into him. But yeah, he has a lot of energy. I really admire Techno Destructo's energy and sort of like how excited he is about his projects and everything he's doing.
Oh, well, he's the one that did my intro for this show.
Oh, okay.
Actually, he actually used crowd shot from Chicken Head's show, and then he used the intro to my favorite song of theirs, "Foiled Again." That opening bass riff is so
Yeah.
that's the intro video and music for my show. He did that,
Oh,
so
cool.
it's really cool to have him be a part of that. That's I'll send you. You haven't seen it yet. Only one episode's come
Yeah.
out actually while we're recording this
Oh,
right now,
okay.
but I'll send you the intro. He's awesome.
Yeah. So you're in Wisconsin, you said,
Yes, sir.
and for being in Wisconsin, I mean, you seem very connected with all the people as well. I mean, what's your secret?
Well, yeah, well, honestly, so I did promoted bands for 30 years.
Oh, okay.
All my friends' bands, any bands that came through town, I ended up putting on our own music festivals. I ended up working for a venue. Then ended up our youngest was diagnosed with autism, so I did the stay-at-home dad thing for a long time,
Mm,
which gave me the opportunity to start networking. Finally went back to school and got my marketing degree, and ended up working for another company that wanted me to do a marketing podcast, and I started reaching out to all some of the contacts that I've made over the years, and
yeah.
because it's all about networking, making
Right.
a good impression with people, and it's just you go one person to the next, and you make a good impression, and people want to introduce you. And that's kind of how, like, yeah, almost all my clients are up and down the West Coast, actually. Most of them are all either in the Pacific Northwest or Southern California.
Right.
I'm looking through it, and I don't think I've actually met any of the clients I have in
Really?
person yet.
Right.
I'll meet one of them in a couple weeks because I finally got one in Chicago. I finally got a client in my own time zone. It's pretty cool.
Okay. Great.
But it's nice though because I've got clients in for like South Korea, Denmark, in the UK, and then all to the West Coast. So there's always somebody's always awake at some time of the day when I'm
Right.
working on stuff. I can get a hold of somebody when I got an idea that I got to get out of my head. So it's always fun.
Yeah. Let me know when if you're ever in Southern California.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to get out there pretty soon. I know so many people out there, and I really want to get out there eventually here. But definitely not getting on an airplane anytime soon.
It's a rough time out there. You're right.
Yeah, I just saw they're hiring. They're putting out YouTube ads to geared at gamers to try to get air traffic controllers.
Wow, that's fascinating.
It was not an Onion article either. I triple checked.
Oh my God. Wow. Okay.
It's the weirdest timeline. I am not a conspiracy guy, but I still say that CERN Super Collider did something because this is the wackiest timeline that there possibly could be.
I love it.
All right. So we
Yes.
were talking. Well, let's get back here. So we're talking about the kind of slipping in some of the good old punk music and some of the animation, the children's stuff you do. What's been some of your favorite of the artists that made you who you are that you got to work with and bring them to a whole new generation? What's some of them that you got to work with?
Um, let's see. Definitely uh, working with Steve Bartek because I think he's such an underrated, uh, amazing guitarist and just sort of brilliant arranger and composer. He's sort of a genius in his own right. Who's, he doesn't really um, get out there much besides from the stuff that he does. Let's say like with Danny Elfman, he conducts for him, at Danny's concerts and will play guitar on occasion. So it's been awesome working with him on stuff. I think he's one of my favorite artists. Like he's such a great guitarist and really interesting ideas. I kind of bring him into more shows as well. There's a few on my list that I'd love to bring in. Like I'd love to work with like Leigh from Fear. Uh, I'd love to work with Jello Biafra from the Dead Kennedys. You know, keeping my fingers crossed that maybe we can make something happen out there. I know he just had I believe, a stroke.
Stroke. I guess he's having their. It sounds like he's mentally everything's he's good. It sounds like there's a lot of physical stuff he'll have to get through. But yeah, when I first heard, I'm like, no, we can't lose Jello. We
I know.
can't lose Jello. Not in a time like this, especially. And I saw then he posted and he said something. It was almost kind of comical the way he phrased it. He was like, "Yeah," he goes, "I fell down. I went to stand up. I fell down again." I was like, "Oh shit! I think this is a stroke." And I'm like, "Okay, if you put all that together, I'm a little not quite as
Right,
worried, but
right,
yeah."
right.
So yeah, I'll be 50 in a couple of weeks here. I've been a fan of everything Jello's done from the spoken word. I mean, everything on Alternative Tentacles, everything he's done
Yeah.
since Dead Kennedys, all
Hmm.
of his every side project and feature. I mean, I could even how many bands did you put albums out with?
I know.
So and so featuring Jello Biafra. No Means No with Jello Biafra. DOA with Jello Biafra. There's
Right.
and just every I've been
Yeah.
a fan of his forever. And he's got the voice for it too. He would do great for a fun song to go into a children's animation. He's got that voice that would
Oh,
really
I agree.
work with it.
He's one of my favorite singers, honestly. I really appreciate voices that have a unique character and personality. And when you think about the greats, I think he is one of my favorite voices. You know, so interesting.
Oh, exactly. I've always the same as well. As I always like Jello Biafra, Mike Ness, Tim Armstrong,
Yeah.
Tom Waits, the stuff that people are like that's or well even Johnny Cash. You know, people are like, oh, he has a beautiful voice, but he never sang. He talked. You know, and I always liked it. That sounded different. It wasn't overproduced and it just maybe that's what it was. Just always stuff like that always felt more real.
I gravitate towards like non-musicians as well. I think because I didn't have any proper training, and I approach everything almost sort of from that punk rock lens, or even like more primitive lens, like a caveman. It's like I'm a drummer first, so everything I approach is just like with like violence or just like letting aggression out. Like I love that feeling. I play every instrument like they're drums. You know,
I'm guessing you break a lot of guitar strings too, don't you?
it kind of happens, but yeah. I wish. Sometimes I think back, like, would life would have been better if I went to music school? I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I like the way I've approached music and the way I've learned things on my own. I've, made my own rules and figured out things my own way. It's worked out all right. But I'm not against learning. Uh, but I don't, maybe I'm against music school. It seems like a pain in the ass.
But there's a lot for being said doing it the way you did it. I mean, you're working with the people that made you want to work at all, let alone with them. Like, that's
Right.
awesome. I'm getting to say the same thing. And just because you're not doing it the way other people did doesn't, well, it makes it a little harder usually because you're
Yeah.
jumping
Right.
steps, but you got to do a lot of sidestepping and backstepping because there's so much networking to be done, and you got to get into more details than if you
Yeah.
do it the traditional way. You got, especially when you're an artist, a more unique artist like you. You're not in a box at all. Well, it's not like you're a niche or anything like that either. A niche would be easier. You're just so unique and on so many different levels as well, different types of music, different mediums.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's cool to see. I love seeing people that did it their own way, the old punk DIY ethic, and an unexpected not profession, but a part of the entertainment industry you wouldn't be expecting.
Right. Right.
And it's always fun to see, especially as a Gen Xer, so seeing all us old punks slowly. All of a sudden, you're seeing us pop up, and like,
Yeah.
hey, wait, especially the behind the scenes stuff. It's like that's what keeps it all running, and
Absolutely.
I just love it, man. I'm just gushing. It's just fun having you here, man. I'm having a
I
ball.
appreciate that. It's very kind of you. Uh, I remember having the epiphany. I was in front of the orchestra for the first time recording for that Nickelodeon show. So there's 60 musicians. There's a conductor, and we have our music copyists and engineers and all these people. And we have these big books with the scores. These sort of like 50 pages of score, and everyone's sitting with it. And I have one in front of me. And like when you were in school and you lose your place and you're like looking over to the next kid to see if you're what page you're on, so you just kind of flip it because I can't read the fucking music, and I was like pretending to flip the pages to go along with everybody, and then at a certain point I realized, what the fuck am I doing? Like I wrote everything here. Everyone's here because of me. Like I don't need this. I just gotta listen. Like I gotta do this the way I've always done it. Just like close my eyes and just listen to the music. If it sounds right, it's right. You know, and that was like an important moment for me. Like that was an epiphany of like trust yourself and trust your instincts. You do things your own way. You don't have to do it the way everyone else is doing it in this room.
Well, yeah, especially don't forget what got you where you are.
Yeah.
Wasn't doing it the way everybody else did. So you get where you're at. Don't start doing it because you feel that's what everyone else does, because then you're just like them, and that's not why they wanted
Right.
you or hired you or what got you this job or this gig or this
Yeah.
auditorium. But I think we all have all. Again, there's some more fucking Gen X trauma bullshit. It's that whole
Right.
imposter syndrome. We never think we deserve it, and we want to try to change to look more like other people or fit like other people, and we just never trust ourselves. We never give ourselves the credit we deserve. And I
So
know that's a big part of it. Just about everybody I talk to on this show seems to get that.
all the time, man. It's like when people call me for a gig, it's like I always feel like I've pulled the wool over their eyes. Like I've tricked them into hiring me. You know, I can't help feeling that way, and it's always like, wow, I can't believe I'm here. I'm sort of in it, but I'm like outside of myself watching it happen. Like this is crazy. You know, maybe it's a little healthy to have feel that way sometimes. It keeps you grounded, but at the same time, you're right. At a certain point, I have to learn to just accept that this is what I do, and I know I've been doing it now a good amount of time. It's still difficult to be like, yeah, this is what I do.
I mean, you can. It's not like your name's Ego. So I'm. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I
Hey,
know, I know. The name would make
Meatloaf
it
was a
easy.
vegetarian. If Meatloaf was a vegetarian, Ego can have imposter syndrome. Fuck that. It works.
There you go. Oh man.
Well, I had one of my clients. This band this father son like hip hop metal duo out of the UK called FMA and 12 Gauge. And the son Callum, we were talking about this, and it was the best way I've ever heard it. Talk about he's a younger kid, so and his dad's my age, so he's talking about how it's good to have an ego. I mean, his dad kind of like looking at each other like, okay, where's this gonna go? And the kid said the smartest shit I'd ever heard in my life. He said, have an ego, or why are people going to come see you? He says, are you going to go to the surgeon that says, I'm okay? No, you're not. So why the hell should we look at a musician any damn different? If have an ego, be proud of what you do. I'd never heard of it phrased that way, and I'm like, God damn it! I'm 50, and I never thought of it that way. I wish I would have known this 50 years ago. I just never heard it phrased like that. I'm like,
That is so
damn it,
great.
that's good.
I love that kid. He's right. I think people confuse having an ego with being an asshole too. You know, and there's a difference. You could be proud of what you do, and you can still be kind, but also like 100% believe in your work. And I think that's where we all need to be at that place. I think kindness is like something that people forget in all this big game that we do.
Well, and I feel especially and all in the entertainment industry, any creative field. I think a lot of the time, oh, excuse me, confidence is mistaken for ego.
Right.
Because I mean, if you can't have an ego, at least be confident in what you're doing, and because that be proud of what you're putting out there, whether it's the create your actual art or the vibe, what you physically and are putting out there in the world. So
Right.
I mean, I think with confidence, I think is just as important as the ego.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's finding that balance because yeah, you don't want you got to get people to come see you, but you also don't want to set the bar. You don't want to set the expectations too high either.
Right. Right.
All
I
right.
like
Well,
that cup
talking.
that you're using. What is that cup?
Oh, that is a vintage Fire King coffee cup.
Oh, it looks great.
Thank you. Yeah, I collect. Me and my wife. Even our house is 1951. We everything's mid-century, and I collect vintage glassware. So I love all the old Fire King cups. I've got most of that set. It's all fades to different colors.
Amazing.
And then I've got like all. Of course, I mean, I'm a marketing nerd, so I've got all like a lot of the old McDonald's in Pepsi cups, like in the McDonald's, yeah, all those fun glassware and stuff like that, the Looney Tunes ones,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
so yeah, I'm slowly trying to change all my cups out to the old vintage ones. It's fun. It reminds me of my childhood.
Yeah, that's sort of. I mean, you were talking about this earlier. Like, it's important to sort of retain that childhood spark. You know, I think one of my favorite quotes is that Picasso one about his goal as an artist is was to become the artist he once was as a child. You know, we are the most creative when we are not. Before we learn all the rules of society and before we're inhibited and feeling like, oh, I shouldn't do this, I shouldn't do that. Like, I'm always trying to get back to that, whatever that is. That freedom. I think it's a free, like, childlike thinking is freedom. You know, creative freedom,
Well,
just whatever.
oh, absolutely. I'm still. I mean, I wouldn't say immature. I've always been very childlike. I mean,
Yeah.
even the skateboards I've got behind is the one I never got to have when I was a kid, and this one here is the cover of the old Scatterbrain album with the Robert Williams artwork that I love since I was a kid.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
still got all my GI Joe figures, all my Masters of the Universe. Hell, I've got the Power Swords tattooed on my thumbs. For Christ's sake, I'm still all the like I said. I've got SpongeBob tattoos. I've got Phineas and Ferb tattoos, Blue's Clues tattoos. I just there's something there's more. It's just freeing about kids television and holding on to that childlike innocence. There's just something comfortable about you get home from work, instead of turn on the news, I'll turn on SpongeBob.
Right.
And it's just it feels better. I mean, God, who wouldn't? I mean, why
I
wouldn't it?
I 100% agree with you, and I don't ever want to grow up if I have to be watching the news instead of SpongeBob.
No, and like I said, I mean, I'm not even middle aged yet. I won't be 50 for another couple of weeks. So, I mean, the first 50 are the hard part. The next 50 are going to be easy. So it's just been practice up to this point. And I know I ain't
Right.
going to grow up because if I ain't done it in 50 years, I don't think another 50 is going to help. Thank God. Oh, so I got a question for. I don't know if you can answer or not. So, talking about live music again, there are rumors that you may or may not have played in a few well-known costumed bands out there. Have you ever played with any of those type of bands? And can you admit to it, yes or no?
I could admit to one. I toured with a Green Jello, um, and that was a lot of fun. I mean, that was the first time I got to experience the country. Like I visited 25 states. Um, it was crazy. It was crazy with those guys, but it was also important for me to experience the rigors of touring life and learning that it's something that I wanted in my life. You know, some people would do that and be like, never again. And for me, it was like, I want to do more of this. You know, it wasn't even my band. It was, somebody else's music, but I got to play guitar and just that experience. I'll never forget it. Like I made friends with a lot of people that, you still have friendships with today. I was on the road with uh, Carrot in another form, in fact. Um, So yeah, that was definitely one. If there's any others, I don't know if I can talk about it, but that's definitely one of the bands.
Yeah, well, Green Jello, that's another one. Yeah, I've been a fan since the first time I ever saw the Three Little Pigs video and just lost my shit. I couldn't believe it. And then I saw what the band actually looked like and what the live show was like. I love that you're talking about the rigors of touring. And if anybody doesn't know what the Green Jello touring is like, I'm friends with Bill on Facebook and watching him and what he goes through on a daily basis just with the fucking pool noodles. He needs to do a full on like documentary of like just it's so funny. So I love that that was like your first thing into touring, and I know what like I did just from viewing. I've never been a part of it, but
Yeah,
I know what that chaos is like when it is most perfectly orchestrated. And I love that you're like, I want to do more of this.
yeah, it's true.
Because
I'm,
most people that would absolutely scare off, and I love that you saw what Bill and could do with that band, and with how deep. I mean, all that they've got with the stage show and the crowd participation, and you're like, I want to keep doing this. I want to do it even bigger, and it's just I love to see that. I've always loved when my art and music collide. I love Green Jello. I love Guar. I love
yeah,
Chicken Heads. I love that stuff. I love like the God was I had John Massari on, the composer from Killer Clowns from Outer Space,
yes,
and they had done one a few years back out where they played the movie on a huge big screen in this or like and then he had a full orchestra playing the score to it. Like I mean, I
yeah.
would love to see stuff like I love when the music and the art is all in one place and all encompassing. It's just the creativity that goes into it is just mind boggling. It's so fun.
That's something I've been trying to do is sort of meld these two worlds together by scoring and my live stuff. And the way I figured out how to do this is I have a new project called the Ego Plum Laboratory, and basically it's a group that plays stuff from the cartoons that I've worked on live, as well as other like unusual like electronic music from the early pioneers of electronic music, like Raymond Scott, Perry and Kingsley. Just like really unusual uh, cartoony. Basically, it's like a cartoon band, and with screens behind us. In fact, I have a show. I don't know if this interview will be out in time, but May 14th, I'll be performing at the Lodge Room in Los Angeles, doing live scores to old Gumby episodes. So nobody asked me to do that. I'm not, and I don't have permission to do it either. It's just something I wanted to do for fun. So I took these old episodes that I really liked. I stripped all the audio, put back the dialogue, and rebuilding the sound effects. And live, we're going to do new music for these episodes. It should be a lot of fun.
That's really funny. I do love that I now know two people with connections to Gumby. I mean, how you know what I'm talking about too? And in what world is that? In what world does anyone know two people with connections to Gumby? That's not doesn't make sense. There's a few people that are going to watch this and know what we're talking about, but that is just absolute.
Right.
I love it. It's so funny. I love the world we live in now. Not
I know.
necessarily the climate of the world right now, but I love the community that we built within this hellscape.
Right. And it's sort of more important than ever to focus on that community and do art and creative things because the more and more the world gets crazier, you realize all we really have is each other. These relationships with our friends, family, the people we love, and the ability to make art and share it with each other. That's kind of it. That's all I'm living for now, you know?
Well, yeah, because I mean, it's what we put out there is so important now because there's a large percentage of people, family, and friends, and well, not friends anymore, neighbors that don't think about what they're putting out in the world. So not only are we trying to watch what we do and make things around us a better place, trying to fucking dodge this shit coming from other people.
Yeah.
It's a weird time right now, and I'm glad that the world has artists like you that are legitimately trying to create stuff to help out to put people in a better place,
Right.
and most importantly our children. I mean, if we
Right.
fuck the kids up, what I mean, Jesus, I mean, the whole world's done. I mean,
Absolutely.
we always talk about how the children are our future, but then we never listen to them. Makes a lot of damn sense.
Right.
So I appreciate what you do. It's really cool, and it's a lot of fun getting kind of a peek behind the curtain now. This is a blast.
It's a lot of fun. I think what you're doing is awesome. I look forward to watching, listening to your shows. You said you're just starting with this thing, right? You only got a couple of these done?
Yeah, I had a past show that I did. It was a music and marketing podcast. I did that for just over a year, and then I started doing stepped away from that, and now I'm doing just this one, and it's just more just life and art because it was I was trying to keep the other one just the music marketing, and it's like I'm not going to tell people, especially in today's world, like, no, let's not talk about real life or what's happening
Yeah.
around us while they're, getting ready to practically drop nukes on each other and shit. Like, no, let's stick to the topic. I couldn't do that anymore, and I wanted to, and this seemed like the perfect time to get my own going. So I've got some really cool guests already so far. Some really neat ones coming up too. So it's been a blast. Um, it's been fun. It's a lot of work doing it all on my own now, though. I didn't know shit about RSS feeds and how to get all that stuff in all the streaming services, but I'm stubborn. So I
Good.
figured it out. I'm stubborn and cheap. So I figured it out because I wasn't paying anyone else to do it.
Good for you, man. I'm glad you're doing it.
But that's the thing. Hard work creates hard work, so that's all right.
I know.
Oh, if I love what you do, you never work a day in your life. Bullshit. You end up working 24 hours a day. Anybody whoever said that didn't. I don't know.
You make a good point.
All right. So I always like to ask my guests, what is your favorite industry related story? The story that all of your friends and coworkers, whenever you start to tell it, they roll their eyes because they've all heard it 100 times. But it's
Right.
so fun to you, so funny that you can't help but tell the story. Well, now you got a whole new audience. What is one of your favorite stories that's happened to you that just seems unreal, or it was an utter failure, or something?
Sure.
What do you always laugh when you think about?
Okay. I was 20 years old. I went to go see one of my favorite bands at the time, the Buzzcocks. They were playing at the Viper Room in Hollywood. And maybe 10 friends all went together. We're going to have a good old time. Watching the band, Pete Shelley, Steve Diggle doing their stuff. And I'm telling the story because it feels like a Disney movie because this is so absurd. But they're about to finish the set, and I don't know what happened, but the drummer sprained or hurt his wrist or his arm, and he's like gesturing to Pete. I can't finish the set. Something happened, and Pete Shelley says to the audience, "Does anyone know how to play drums?" And all nine of my friends just pointed at me. So Pete obviously looks at me and he goes, "What songs do you know?" And I said, "All of them," because I really did. I was such a huge Buzzcocks fan. And he brings me on stage, and then this embarrassment happens because I'm a left-handed drummer, so I had to quickly switch the floor tom and the snare and the hi-hat, but I left everything else, and he's rolling his eyes like, "Oh God." But I quickly did it, and we kicked into Boredom, and I think I nailed it, and I think we did another song, and then the set ended, and that was sort of like the highlight of my life at that point, playing drums for one of my favorite punk bands. And I think it still is one of the highlights of my life because it was just a magic moment. I just couldn't believe it. Like, I think my brothers were there too. All my friends got to witness it. It was just a beautiful, fun little magic moment in my life that I'll never forget. And Pete Shelley, after that, I got to, every year I'd go see the Buzzcocks at their tour, and he kind of knew who I was, and I even gave him a ride. And we talked, the last time I saw him before he passed, we talked like for 30 minutes, and I'll never forget that. I mean, the guy's was a brilliant writer, some of the best melodic punk of anybody. So yeah, that's definitely my moment.
That's so awesome. That's like something off of a movie.
It totally
That's
is. It's a Disney
so
movie.
cool. I mean, God. Well, the funniest too, I could just imagine the look on his face when you start switching stuff
Uh,
around.
I
That'd be like
know.
the guitar player hands you the guitar, you'd be like, "Let me tune this properly. Just give me a minute."
Let me
Like,
switch a
who the
string.
fuck do you think you are switching shit
I
up?
know. I wish I never learned to play left-handed. I wish I played right-handed drums, but too late now.
That's so cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I love to hear that.
Thank you,
All
man.
right. So, what have you got coming up then? This will be coming out in May. What do you got coming up this summer and later
Okay.
this year?
You guys out there may not see this in time, but May 14th, playing at the Lodge Room. The other crazy thing I have going on is I just did. Okay, there's an amazing puppet theater here in LA called the Bob Baker Marionette Theater Company that's been an institution in the city for a long time. They got invited to be at Coachella this year. They're playing, they're performing today at Coachella and next week, and I did musical arrangements for them of like popular songs. So I did like a circus version of a Justin Bieber song, and and like a circus version of a Nine Inch Nails song, and some other things that it's in the show. I can't believe like my music will be playing over these loudspeakers for massive crowd at Coachella. So that's just a silly thing. It's not anything I'm actually physically doing anywhere, but I thought if that's online somewhere, check out my strange circus music arrangements of pop songs from the Bob Baker Marionette Theater Company at Coachella. That's kind of fun. And I may be doing some more work on, oh man, I can't even talk about this. But it's for, I did some work for Disneyland. And I love that theme park stuff. And I'm doing something for another institution that could talk about later, but I can't talk about it now. That's all I got.
I get that with owning a marketing agency. Like 99% of my job and the stuff I get excited about, I can't fucking tell anybody about because it's all basically NDA type. Like, no, it's not been released. Nobody knows. You can't say nothing. So it'll always be fun when I bump into someone that's in the same group and they'd be like, "Oh, did you hear? Oh my god, yes, I wanted to talk about that." So it's
Okay,
always
you know what
fun.
I'm going through.
Oh yes, I absolutely get it. All right. Well, Ego Plum, thank you so much for coming on. This has
Thank you,
been a
man.
lot of fun. I'll definitely have to have you come back so we can tell us about what you can't tell us about.
I'd love to do that. That'd be a lot of fun. We should get another one going at some point.
Absolutely. All right. Well, everyone, say thank you to Ego Plum. And of course, please like, subscribe, and share. Give me some feedback. Like to know what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong. And most importantly, as always, have fun and be nice to each other because if you're not, there's no fucking point. And we will see you later.